Hello everyone, welcome to my tutorial. Today's tutorial I'm going to talk about Maven. If you can remember, in the last tutorial I downloaded some of the jar files such as the servlet.jar file from the internet and then copied that to the lib directory of the web application. That is something very inconvenient. That means that in a large web application we need so many dependencies. That means we need so many jar files. And whenever we need the jar files, we have to go to the internet, download it manually, and put it in the lib directory. But there is an easy way to handle those things, and Maven actually comes into the picture in those situations. So what is Maven? A Maven is a management tool that is used to build, document, and create dependencies while creating a Java project. Maven's objectives from Apache Maven project website are described as follows. So what are the objectives? They're making the build process easy, providing a uniform build system, providing quality project information, and then encouraging better development practices. So that means the Maven actually help us in these regards. So now at the core of the Maven is the POM file. So POM is an XML file, and that includes all our dependencies and the plugins. So let's see the definition from the slide. The project object model, or POM, is the building block of Maven. This is an XML file that details project and configuration details to build a Maven project. There are some default values such as build directory, source directory, and the test directory. And you can understand from these that the build directory is the directory where we put all our class files or the compiled files. And then we have the source directory where we put all the source files written in Java, that means with the .java extension. And then we have a test directory, which is going to include all our test files. And the project dependencies can be added to this file. Okay, so that all about the POM file is. Now let's go and look into the minimal POM. So what is a minimal POM? Minimal POM is a POM.xml file that has the basic things, and the basic things are the project root, and then the model version set to 4, and then group ID, artifact ID, and the version. So what is the group ID? The ID of the project's group, a unique base name of the company or group that created the project, and then artifact ID is the ID of the project. So we have to make sure that these two we understand properly. One is the artifact ID, which is the project that we are going to create, and the other one is the group ID, and the group ID uniquely identifies a project from in terms of like what group or what company has made this project. So this minimal POM will come into existence when we are going to create a project. If you can remember, in the other tutorial we created the project, and the project was a web project. But whenever we are going to create a project that is built with Maven, we have to create a Maven project. And whenever we are going to create the Maven project, this pom.xml file will be created automatically with all this information, and we have to put the values for each of these. Okay, so now let's move on to the next slide, and here is an example of a POM file, and you can see like at the very core is the project tag, and within the project tag we have model version, and then the group ID, and then the artifact ID, and then the version, and then the project. So here you can see that the artifact ID is my-app. That means the project is created and named as my-app, and the group ID is the one, that means the com.mycompany.app has created this project. Okay, so this is an example of a minimal POM. And then within the POM we are going to define our dependencies. As I said before, that the servlet.jar file we downloaded from internet and put it in our lib, but whenever we are creating a dependency with this tag, that means we are telling that okay, we are going to have this jar file as a dependent to our web application. So what is again dependency? The external libraries that a project uses are called dependencies. This feature ensures that automatic download of .jar files from a central repository. The developer does not need to download separately. Okay, so in this case you can see that we have a group ID, artifact ID, and the version number. So the group ID again is something that uniquely define which company or which project team is doing it. In this case, org.spring framework is making this project. And what is the name of the project? Spring-core. And what is the version? Version is 5.1.5.release. Okay, and whenever we are going to update our project with the latest version, we have to change this version number, and again we of course need to know that which version we are going to update to. Okay, now if we go to the next slide, you can see that we are talking about the repositories. And for a Maven project, there are two types of repositories. The first one is the central repository from where we're going to download our dependency or download the jar file, and then we are going to have a local repository, and in the local repository we are going to have all our jar files. So the local repository is .m2/repository, and that is going to be under our home directory of the user. So now let's look into our project that I'm going to work with for this tutorial. So you can see that this is okay. So you can see that this is my project J105 that I'm going to use for this tutorial, and there I have POM.xml file. So whenever I created this as a Maven project, this POM.xml file was created, and this was just a minimal kind of thing, and then I had to put all my dependencies. So let's go and see a few of the things. One of the thing is here you can see that artifact ID, and this is the name of the project, which is J105, and then the group ID, which I would like to uniquely define, that com.study8, and then there is a version number. Okay, you can put the default one if you want, and then before that you can see that there is a tag for packaging, and within that this is mentioned as .war or simply war. That means we are going to create this project as a .war file or as a web archive. Okay, and then we have here all the dependencies. So you can see under the dependencies we have another tag dependency, and we have multiple dependencies over here. So that means we are going to have these many jar files under these dependencies. So one of the thing you can see that the artifact ID is javax.servlet.api, and this is the one in the last tutorial I manually downloaded and put it in the lib directory, but over here I'm just going to use the artifact ID. Okay, that's it. And then group ID. Okay, so the group ID is javax.servlet, and then the version number is 3.1.0. Accordingly, I have used the servlet.jsp, I have added the JSTL, I have added the commons, then I have added the MySQL. Okay, so if you can look over here that this MySQL is having a connector so that our application can connect to the database, so we need to also download that one. So this is the group ID, which is coming from MySQL. This is the project, which is the connector project, and then this is the version 5.1.3.0. okay, and let's say that the MySQL has updated its version number, so accordingly we have to update the version number over here as well. Now this is a Maven project, and if we right click over here, so when you put all your dependencies in the Maven, and then you have to just click on Maven, and then if you say that update project, so in that case it will incorporate or import all the jar files and will put into our local directory. Okay, so that's all about Maven. Now the next question is that how we are going to add the Maven to our project. So for that reason we have to first download the Maven. Okay, and where we are going to download it from, so if you search or if you just say that download Maven, so you will be directed to this Apache Maven project, and then you can just download this one, binary zip archive. Okay, and if you are in Windows, so you are going to use this binary zip archive, and then whenever you download that, so downloading, after that we need to do a few things. Number one is unzip, okay, it's too heavy, unzip to a local directory. Okay, so we are going to unzip that to a local directory, and then what we are going to do is change the environment variable. Okay, and within that we have to add m2 _ home. Okay, so add these environment variable, and the value, so this is going to be the key, and the value would be your installation directory. So let's say in my case I installed or unzipped everything to COPT Maven. Okay, so this is where I have unzipped, or basically this Maven has all my files that I have downloaded. So it's under COPT, and Maven contains all the files. So my environment variable would be like this: home equals COPT Maven. Now this depends on you, like wherever you would like to put it, you are absolutely okay to do that. So now once we have done it, we have to test that whether Maven is installed or not. So you just open your command prompt, and then we have to just see that if Maven is downloaded, installed properly or not. So we have to write that command mvn-v, and then if you hit enter mvn-v, it should tell that Apache Maven 3.5.2, which is my version, and the Maven home is COPT Maven bin. Okay, so that means the Maven is good for us. So that's all for today's tutorial, and in the next tutorial we will be doing something else. Thank you.